Hello and welcome. Bonjour et bienvenue. One day I might do a video in all French, but at this point I definitely don't speak enough to do that, so we're going to stick with English. Today's mission was pulling down a bike that I rode to school almost every day of middle school and high school. Not that bike. I'll do a video with that guy later. And also not this bike, which hopefully I'll have built up soon. It's a sweet titanium cargo bike. It's actually in the rafters, so I gotta climb up there and get that down. It's a probably 2007 Kona Blast. I would assume a size extra small, just because of how big I was in high school. It's a bit of a tricky job with just one person, but I was the only one home today, so I made it work. When I got up to the top of the ladder, I realized there was no saddle on the bike, so I just stole one from the neighboring bike, which is my dad's old Canadian Tire Special Nakamura. I think it fit and did the job just fine. I almost fell with the camera on my head at this point, but I did okay. You get a nice view of the rafters. You can see where we stored our skis from when we were kids. Got the bike down, got to navigate the garage to get out of here. I thought it was important to check the brakes and the tires and all that kind of thing. Yeah, you can see from these clips that the tires were pretty much bald. There's a thing in the cycling world called underbiking, and basically that's when you ride a bike that is not at all designed for what you're riding it on. And I'd say riding any kind of trail with this bike in the condition that it is would be considered underbiking. And I quite like underbiking, so I think that's what I'm going to do today. But first we're going to need to pump up the tires and make sure the saddle is all installed. Only since building up this cargo bike have I really discovered the joys and benefits of using grease. So we'll make sure to grease up the old seat tube before we put that back in the bike. Funny story with this pump is when I first got this bike in grade 8, I suppose, so I would have been 13. They were doing a promotion, which is funny to think about now. If you bought a bike, you could get a free bicycle pump. So I've had that pump with me since I was 13, and it's traveled all over the world with me and still going strong. So it turns out the promotion was actually pretty good. I've used the pump more than I've used the bike. Now that our tires are all inflated and the seat is almost in the bike, we should probably test out the brakes. Something you love about a old mechanical disc brake is after not using the bike in 15 years, you can pull a cable, tighten a few bolts, and it's manageable. Wouldn't take this down any bike parks or any black diamonds, but it's gonna do okay for today. After a quick ride across the parents' yard, we make it to the washing station. It's always nice to have a clean bike. Won't be entering any Instagram contests with this, so we're basically just trying to get the dust off after being in the rafters for years and make it so I don't look like I just stole this out of somebody's garage. Although it still has the reflectors on the wheels, which is kind of a dorky move. It was such a nice day today in the town that I grew up in that I just had to get outside and do something. Took this opportunity to let the bike dry a little bit and put on a chest mount. Apologies for the angle. It was the first attempt with the chest mount and definitely should have tilted it up a little bit further. Just around the corner from my parents' house, there's a little trail that is mostly kind of rolling, but has some fun little turns, and I've been doing a lot of trail running on it recently, which I figured was about as crazy as I wanted to get with this bike and the condition that it was in. Just over a week ago, I was on my coworker's $20,000 cross-country race bike, so this felt a lot different. Also fun, but a very different experience. Speaking of very different experiences, being back in small town British Columbia, where you can just go around the corner from these houses and not hear a thing. I used to ride a lot of mountain bikes in high school. Looking back at it now that I work in the bike industry, I realize how janky most of the bikes I rode were. It was at this point I realized the front brake was doing absolutely nothing, and the front shifter also didn't work, but it was okay. Little no hands for this corner to show off to the neighborhood. It was at this point I realized no hands is probably the only angle that looks decent with the angle I had the chest mount set up on. Another little noticing thing was the fact that the rear cable for the brake kind of stuck. Once making it back home, I was ready to retire the bike for another 10-15 years, and we'll pull it out again and see if it works. That was a fun little activity, and I think I'm gonna have a coffee. Sans lait, of course. We're just going straight espresso today. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.